All right, everybody. Welcome to the After the Scales podcast. I'm Sean Blight. We got Robert Clements, and our guest Scottie Parker is with us. We're shorthanded here today. Jacob Dub is not here, but if he joins us later on, we'll get him in here as well. So, a wild 24 hours in the world of dirt late model racing, and Scottie is going to jump in here and talk about it with us. So, Bert, what do we know the last 24 hours or so?
Well, first we can start off with the suspension of Bobby Pierce, Kyle Bronson, and Devin Moran. Apparently, there was different nights, but as they went through the Volusia Speed, uh, different nights they tested tires, and all three of them failed the chemical test or whatever, like tire test. They had chemicals on the tires, and as it was stated earlier on in the year, they talked about how the new rule was you couldn't soak them or anything. You couldn't put anything on them within 3 hours of hot laps. And I guess they found out that they had done that. They tested like 60 something tires from both the late models and the modifieds. And the three that came back were those three. So I guess they just dropped a suspension on them, and now the world's went berserk with it. So
And Scottie joining us before we get into the discussion, I guess maybe tell the viewers and listeners what your role is in the late model world.
Oh, I came down, I want to say 2 years ago now to get a fresh start in life. I wanted to get back into racing. I've been away from it for way too long. Started off as a tire guy, worked my way up, started learning about shocks, learning about bodies, learning about engines, just basically anything I can pick up on. And I took my own money, started a business, started representing some drivers on the merch side. Uh, I want to try and like really give back to the world of racing. I just love dirt racing so much, and I really want to be like a big contributor, a big factor in racing and giving back and giving some smaller teams an avenue of we'll call it revenue, we'll call it some some spotlight, try to get some driver names out there. I just That's what I want to do.
Perfect. So, as a tire guy, you're maybe the best guy to bring on here right now and talk about this. Um, so, as we're sitting here recording, it's expected or believed that at least Bobby Pierce, it looks like, is going to appeal. So, we don't want to say anybody is guilty here at this point until we have the final verdict. But when you talk about soaking the tires or adding chemicals and all that kind of stuff, what does that actually do? What kind of an advantage would that give a driver?
Depending on the chemical used, whatever they do to the tire, it could really soften it up, change the compound in a way. Uh, Essentially gives it, I don't want to say more grit, but it definitely changes the compound, softens it up in a way to where you can more or less, I want to say drive harder on it, but definitely changes it in a way to where it wears differently, I should say.
yeah.
All right. Anything you want to ask there, Bert?
uh, I mean, that's pretty straightforward. It's just I don't know. It's just I'm still shocked myself, so there's not really much I can really say about it right now.
So if the suspension holds up, so you're looking at the defending champion of the series, essentially unable to repeat as champion 3 races into the series. What does that do, I guess, for the World of Outlaw late models the rest of the season as far as that goes? Who are we looking at as far as the maybe championship favorites would be?
You're looking at Brandon Shepard, Chris Madden, Cade Dillard, Nick Hoffman. I think Nick Hoffman has a big shot. You just got to take that opportunity and really make use of it. But that like they've already taken Bobby Pierce's name off of the driver's points on their website and everything. Like he's dropped. Let me find out where he was. He's dropped significantly. Find it again.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you have that information in front of you. I forget what the point loss was for the.
It's pretty bad. I just had it.
I got it pulled up here if you want me to
Yep,
go
sure.
ahead and jump in.
Yeah.
From what I'm looking at here, it says a loss of 294 series owner and driver points. And in the standings, it puts him 23rd, basically
Yeah.
among all the Lucas Oil guys who aren't running the series. Devin Moran, Thornton, O'Neal, Blair, all those guys who are not committed to World Outlaws.
Yeah.
And the tires were sent to three separate labs, if I understand correctly. Um, I mean, if you're the World of Outlaws, you've got to be pretty sure of yourself to suspend arguably your most popular, famous driver, you would think.
I mean, if it were me, I would definitely want to double, triple, even quadruple check. I mean, Bobby Pierce is a definitely a popular driver. I wouldn't say controversial. There's probably as many people that don't like him as they do like him. So a guy who's a threat to win every race, who's a threat to at least run for a win at any track he goes to, I would definitely want to at least triple, quadruple check that, and especially leveling a a fine, a suspension this big. It basically just takes him completely out of contention for uh, a title defense. And if I heard correctly, he's not even going to be running for points anymore. So
Yeah.
he's just going to be whatever he decides to do. Uh, I just think, yeah, obviously they would need to be very, very sure of this before they levy such a penalty.
Yeah, Bert and I were talking earlier. I mean, as a sprint car guy, he kind of reminds me a little bit of Donnie Schatz in that in Schatz's prime, you're either going to the racetrack to cheer for him or you're going to cheer for whoever everybody else on the racetrack. And I find in my limited late model experience, that seems to be the case with Bobby Pierce. You love him or you hate him, but he puts asses in the seats. And, for the World of Outlaws this early in the season, again, you've got to be pretty sure because you are risking him not showing up to any of your events the rest of the year.
Oh, definitely. Especially now that we're coming into a digital age where a lot of people are moving towards streaming. They don't have to go to the track or get dirty or watch it from halfway across the country. But when the World Outlaws comes to your local track, your hometown, you want to go out and watch these guys just tear up the track and like put the hammer down, flat footed. You just want to see it. I mean, watching racing on streaming is like nothing you want to. It's like nothing you'd ever experience like actually seeing it. You can't compare the two whatsoever. So to single out a guy who actually puts asses in seats, I mean, yeah, it's Tiregate. It's crazy. It's unprecedented. That's for sure.
Tiregate. I think we have a name for the podcast tonight. I like it. Bert, did you want to continue this or did you want to switch gears?
I think it's really enough said. I know Pierce is probably going to end up going to the Lucas route because I mean, there's not really much they can do. I've heard to where they can still run Lucas being suspended from the Outlaws, but again, there is that agreement, so-called agreement, that they would respect each other's suspensions and it would carry over. But I'm still not 100% sure. They just have to wait for them. But yeah, I guess that'd be all for this topic. It's basically about it for that.
All right. Did you want to get into Huddy?
Yeah. So basically, it just happened out of broad daylight. We were talking about Bobby Pierce and his suspension, and then out of nowhere comes Hudson O'Neal was dropping out of being in the Rocket One car, or he's been fired, or he's just not want to do it anymore. And it's just these rumors going around on Twitter saying like Tim McCready is invited to run the house car and all of these other talk about Boom Briggs. And it's just so many people are talking about it that it's impossible not to talk about it.
Right. And that, as of right now, again, nothing is confirmed that we know.
Yeah.
Um, and when is their next race? Because I guess we'll have to know pretty shortly.
Yeah. If they, it depends if they run the Outlaws or not. Or I know it's within the next 2 weeks they'll race, hopefully. But I'm hoping since the amount of people that already know about it, I feel like they'll open up either tonight or tomorrow if we're lucky. But if not, then I doubt any of it's really true.
Yeah, and this is a topic we'll have more to discuss once we get final word. But we did want to mention that as we're recording this right now, that the rumor is that Hudson O'Neal is out of the Rocket One car, and at least it sounds like Tim McCreadie has been at least offered the ride. Scotty, do you have any other thoughts on this?
Uh, well, I think it's the fact that we haven't heard anything official to the contrary that gives this so much validity. Especially now, it's been at least what 4 or 5 hours since
Yeah.
this news or
Yeah,
since this rumor first broke, and the fact that we haven't gotten a statement from either Hudson or the Rocket One team or even Mark Richards or anybody saying like this is not true, don't believe this, there's no validity to it, speaks for itself, and in my opinion. So I think the lack of response more or less confirms that it is true. I mean, it could very well just be a rumor. Somebody started just to have fun with it, just to see where it goes. But the fact that we haven't heard anything, I think, really tells us that yeah, it's true, and something really went on behind the scenes, at least in the shop area, that was pretty bad enough, I would say, to really warrant this. It's just it's I don't know. Everybody's completely forgotten Tiregate now. Now we got Rocket Gate now. So
and we're yeah, we're just in the middle of March here. It's not like there's a bunch of drivers of that quality just sitting around looking for rides. So again, if this is true, it's got to be pretty serious and kind of a last resort type thing, you would think.
Oh yeah.
I would oh yeah, I would think so. Think it like a lot of people like to talk, a lot of people like to give an opinion, but at the end of the day, not a whole lot of people know the whole story. So we can sit and speculate right now, but only time will tell what actually happened. I'm sure we'll find out most of the story, maybe all of the story later on down the road. But yeah, as far as right now, I don't see a whole lot of options, especially after the start of the season, to put another driver in there. I know I got two in my mind that make sense, but I don't know how other people see it. I don't know what other people think. I'd like to get your guys' opinion or who you think would be the best fit for the Rocket One team coming up in March 22nd at Atomic. I believe is their next race.
Yeah.
I'll leave that up to Bert. I'm just the stupid sprint car guy here trying to act like I fit in. So I'll let you take it away.
If it was me, I want to say Tim McCreadie, but again, they're probably if it does happen, they're going to go for somebody young. Like you've seen what they did with Hudson O'Neal. He's pretty young, so that's why they targeted him for what he's done. So I feel like Tim McCreadie's out of question. I don't think he'll be able to do it. If Boom Briggs does anything, it'll just be for the season. But I think some of your younger guys, like maybe Tyler Erb or uh, even Moran, which I highly doubt that too. But like those guys, it's going to be a younger guy. That's all we can really say right now.
I guess your only other option, you kind of hinted at it, would be to get somebody in the car for the rest of the year and then revisit it in the off season, which you kind of see in a lot of other series when these kind of things happen.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's probably what's going to end up happening because, like you said earlier, we're in the middle of the season, or yeah,
Just
basically,
started.
yeah, just started. But for Lucas, they had their speed weeks or whatever. Like they have points on the board with that car, and they're probably going to end up having to just do that, get it over with, and then take the long off season to find somebody that's wanting to switch over and maybe get a ride out of that.
And Scott, let's talk about you personally for a second. You mentioned to us before we went on the air, you're at Port Royal right now. I'm going to be there for the weekend. What are you up to, and what are you doing for this racing season coming up?
Right now, my biggest priority will be the World of Outlaws. Max McLaughlin signed on with Team 22. He wants to get into I guess, a bigger atmosphere of racing. Like I was saying before we started the show, I grew up in the big block world. I thought it was just our own little pocket, our own little way of life, till I got into dirt late model racing, and it is just a totally different animal. Not only with racing itself, but the atmosphere, the community, the amount of people, the range. Because the farther you go north, the less late models you see, and the bigger and the more big blocks you see. They mainly run up in the Northeast and some up even in Canada. You go to a super dirt car series race, you'll see a lot of French fans, a few French drivers out of Quebec, Canada,
Mhm.
and so yeah, we'll be focused mainly on the World Outlaws, getting Max comfortable. He's loving it right now. It's definitely a change for him, but I think if anybody can do it, it's GR who can change him out of a big block into a late model. GR comes from a big block background, just like Max did. He's had some success in big blocks as well. And G made that transition roughly 15, 20 years ago. So I think if we can really find success with this team, I think if we stay patient, just work on it, I think we'll be pretty good contenders here pretty soon.
Excellent. And that was going to be my next question, actually. I'm a big McLaughlin racing fan. I'm old enough to remember his dad racing modifieds and then into the Bush series. So naturally, I've got my Max McLaughlin racing hat on here for this podcast. So, how is he enjoying the transition? It's got to be a huge learning curve, not only switching from the big block to the late model, but also the travel that's involved. Because when you're driving with the big blocks, you're I'm not going to say you're in bed, home in your own bed every night, but the travel is much more regional than the late models are.
Well, don't forget, Max is not only accustomed to dirt racing, he's also done a lot of asphalt racing as well.
Sure.
He's run the I don't know if it's wheeling, but SK modifieds. He's run
Yep.
Xfinity once or twice, but I think he's accustomed to the amount of travel. I just think the biggest learning curve for him is just obviously going to be the car. I think that's his main focus right now. He's perfect. I think he's perfectly comfortable with the travel. I think he's perfectly comfortable getting in the car. I think it's just getting accustomed to it now. Just getting it to his liking and learning as best he can from it and how to make that switch from one to the other. I think that's obviously his biggest curve.
The guy will literally drive anything. I actually saw him in a super modified at Oswego once too. So that speaks to your point. Like if it's got four wheels, that guy'll get in it.
Oh
Um,
yeah, he will get in it. I've seen like just about everything. I've seen him, so it's fun to see him go through this. It's uh, it's 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 exciting for me because I think it's just a matter of time before he finally gets there. He's got the speed. He's got all of it right now. He just needs to you know tighten it up, learn that curve, figure it out, and I think he'll be a big contender within the next year or two.
did you guys have any goals kind of going into the season as far as that goes? Just,
Nothing that we stated out loud. I
right.
think it was just about making Max comfortable. It's we want him to be successful. We want him to be comfortable. So uh, this is a place he wants to be. This is what he says he's focused and wants to do. He wants to pick a series, pick a car, and focus on it. And he seems focused on late models right now. I think the team that we put together is I think the best thing for him. Everybody involved in this team has had a big black background uh, in their past. I think our crew guy was used to work on big blocks as well. Max obviously came from big blocks. GR came from big blocks. I think not only are we all comfortable with each other and getting to know one each other, getting used to each other. We're also learning our terminology, how to make the changes, how to understand each other. I think the communication is top notch. I honestly think that this is probably the best deal that we can put together for Max right now.
It does sound like a perfect kind of mix, or a, for a big block guy to go into that. It seems like a good environment for him to go into.
Oh, for sure, for sure. He's uh, he's eager to learn. He's in the shop. He's figuring out everything he can. He's helping as much as he can. He's yeah, he's committed. He wants to make this a career. He wants to, obviously be the best. He was, in my opinion, a top five driver with the super dirt cars and big
Mhm.
blocks. And I think it's, just a matter of time before he's a top 10, top five, and a contender to win every night.
All right. Want to thank our guest, Scottie, for coming on. And just before we let you go, look who finally showed up to our podcast. Better late than never, I guess.
Sorry, guys. Phone was dead. Missed almost the whole podcast. But hey, man, I appreciate you being on, though. And I'm sure Sean and Bert liked having you on and talk about all the craziness going on with dirt racing right now.
I'll be honest, Jacob, I didn't even notice you weren't here.
Yeah.
I'm kidding, of course. I'm kidding, of course. But Scottie, before we let you go, I just wanted to give you an opportunity to shout out any sponsors or any social media plugs, anything like that that you wanted to do.
I just wanted to thank you guys for having me on. It's a lot of fun. Hopefully we can do it again sometime. I really enjoyed talking to you guys. But give a shout out to Dirt King Apparel, Brick House Tavern in Davidson, North Carolina. Some of the best food you'll ever have. Gambler Transport, Victory Circle, Mohawk Northeast. Basically, everybody that's ever had a hand in what we do and what we're trying to accomplish. Can't thank everybody enough. I think I have a list way too long to thank everybody, but just let it be known, I really do appreciate everything. So thank you guys. Thanks again.
You're welcome. And just one more thing before I let you go. Where is the 22 late model going to be? Where's your next race at?
Mad Max will be racing at Thunder Hill for the next World of Outlaws event in the late model. But he will be racing Port Royal this weekend in the big block.
Perfect. All right. We will see you there.
All right. Thanks, bud. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Well,